All right, I'm calling the Plan Commission of the Village of Grosse Plains May 2nd meeting to order. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Johnson.
Here.
Commissioner Duquette.
Here.
Commissioner Borland.
Here.
Trustee Borland. Commissioner Brochus.
Here.
Trustee Kettle
Here.
Here, let's stand for a pledge of allegiance. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, we're at public comment. This is an opportunity for anyone to address the Plan Commission on any issue. Please observe the time limit of 3 minutes. While the Plan Commission encourages input from residents, it may not discuss or act on any issue that is not duly noticed on the agenda. Do we have anybody on Zoom? Okay, you have one email that we should read during public comment. Brian, please.
I received one email this last Friday from a resident, and the resident stated, in regards to the upcoming plan meeting, I would like to object to the 6 chickens or goats in the village. I have lived in this village over 50 years, and I do not feel we have to make the village of Grosse Plains an agriculture community. I feel once we start this, the next thing will be pigs or cows or a horse. If you allow it one, or you allow one, it will start more problems. My question are about who are we going to hire from this to police the situation in order to make sure the homeowner is following the regulations and or cleaning up the messes. This is an accident looking for a happening. Please advise the members of the Plan Commission my thoughts. This is William Seaman. Yeah.
All righty, we're going to general business. Number 1, approval of the minutes from the April 4th, 2022 Plan Commission meeting. Can I have a motion, please?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes from April 4th.
I'll second that.
All right, I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same. So moved. All right, this should really, number 2 will be just discussion regarding village sign ordinance, because obviously we're a long ways to get that, where there's action on it. So here's the situation on why this is here, and I'm trying to, while you ended up getting the whole ordinance, there's really, if you looked at the changes that were also attached, what I put together were basically 2 changes within the sign ordinance. So here's the story that brought this to us. If you looked at lately at Edward Jones stock facility down in the mall down here, if you look on the side of the building that faces Culver's area, you know, when you're driving down, you can see it when you're going eastbound, westbound, you wouldn't see it. That's technically, that sign is technically in violation of our ordinance. They did come in for a permit. They paid their permit fee. Bill approved it. They installed it. I was notified by individual that that was in violation, which is true in this. But then I went down and there's at least 4 other businesses that also have the same type of sign. If you go eastbound on 14, you'll see it on Montague's on their west side of the building. The west side of the liquor store has one. Dottie's has one on the east side, and the dog grooming place has one on the east side. And that's just me driving 14 and seeing them. I haven't walked and everything. I think what the first part of this proposal, if you go to page 14, oh yeah, you got it there. What I'm suggesting is, I believe we should allow our businesses. Right now, the Edward Jones building, the only sign they have is on the awning, that little awning part, which you can't even see because the mall is perpendicular to the road. You'd have to go into the parking lot. So I'm looking to change it that they would be able to still keep it at 2, but we would not ban them. Right now, it says the sign has to face a roadway or a parking lot with at least 8 customer parking stalls. You know, to me,
Can't control that. I mean, you can't control for sure if there's 8 parking spots.
well, yeah, you can count.
I know, but like if it's the building, if it's a small thing, there might not be.
Well, no, that's my whole point. My whole point is, I think, you know, one of the biggest concerns I've always had is we have 15,000 cars coming through Cross Plains, and we just need to get them to stop at places. And I just think it's reasonable when you're coming down, that sign is not lit. It still meets the requirement. So what I am suggesting, and again, this is just a straw vote. We're not taking a vote on it because we have to do a public hearing and all that. But just so you know, that's the current wording. You see it on this part here. This is the part that's right there. All right. So my suggestion is that we just get rid of that and put in 1 per public right of way or customer parking frontage and 1 per non-frontage. All right. Now, can you go to page 16? Because that shows the diagram. So, oh, no, you weren't by it. So what that they're showing is you can have a sign here at parking, you can have a sign here, and you can have one here because this is a public street. But if this public street wasn't here, you wouldn't be able to put this one. I'm saying get rid of this and just leave it go. So even if this is not a roadway, the business is not on the corner, they can still put one here or here or here, but you can only do 2. Keep it at 2. And that would be the business choice, because if you look at the mall, that mall, except for the one on the very end, really only has this choice. They can't do this, and there's no other road. So they basically have the sign on the awning, and that's it. All right, so Seth, and then Bill.
Just so I understand, the issue that they're not complying right now is that the sign is not facing the roadway.
Correct.
Parking area.
Correct.
Okay, I just want to make sure.
Yep, that's that's technically the violation. Bill?
So when I read this, I totally agree with it. I thought this made a lot of sense, especially with the way some of the buildings are here in the village. Absolutely, and I think this is a great idea.
All right, any other questions on that? Go ahead, Cameron.
There was a complaint, but is there an issue? Like, did someone, I want to know why it's a problem, I guess.
Okay, it was
If you don't want to get into it, you don't have to.
no, it was a trustee that was brought to me, and they wanted Brian to go tell them to take it down.
Okay.
All right, so what we would have to do is revoke the license. And then they could appeal to the board. And to me, if the board didn't agree with it, they could make them take it down. I personally think we would be liable for paying the cost of the sign, everything they invested, because it's not like they put it up in the middle of the night without, they actually have the permit. They went through the correct process. So it's not, the air is on us.
Okay.
So
there's no, someone isn't saying this can't be there because it's bothering me or.
Oh, no, it was just someone who saw that it didn't meet this. And of course, then I wanted to see if there were other problems. And like I say, I found other ones very quickly. Because we still have the size limit and the lighting and all that. So all we're doing is saying, you know, this is a great diagram and I understand this concept, but few of our businesses are on corners. So, and if you can have this road here, that's a spot for people driving on. If this was 14, it's easy to see these 2 sides of the building. It gives them some identification. I agree, we don't want them on all four sides, so it still stays at the 2. It's just that what I'm saying is, let's take away where you can't do it where it's not facing a road, right? Because I would make an argument when I'm driving down 14, I can see that really well. You know? Yes,
Do we have a limitation? The only concern I would have with that is a lit sign that's facing like a residence.
mhm.
But otherwise, like, it's not in a residential area.
Well, the thing is, none of this changes the code. That's why I didn't want to get into changing anything up, because that would be in the lighting code. Plus, they still have to go through a permit. So there's, you know, Brian always has the ability to modify that. So the only thing this is changing is that we're allowing them to put it on a non-parking lot, non-right-of-way side of the building.
If it's not there, so we don't have concerns about it facing the residence. If you happen to have a business that's adjacent to a residence.
Yeah, no, I hear what
you
you're
wanna
saying.
Put it on that side. It's not really a concern.
No, but I think we would, you know, clearly, if it was going to be a lit sign or something, they would certainly can't do the trespassing part. Like I say, I hear what you're saying. I don't think that's why this was for that.
That faces college.
Yeah,
That's the side of it.
it's their parking lot, actually.
Like the picture that's in the packet is from college.
Yeah, yeah.
So, I mean, I guess I wouldn't worry about a company putting a sign on a side that's right next to a resident. That's a waste of money. No one's gonna see it. If it's right, you know, so if they got a business and the resident next to them, they're not gonna put a sign. Right?
Well-
There's signs in traffic.
Right, but I could see, to me, you know, a spot that I would think eventually would want is the ice cream shop. Because when you're eastbound on 14, I would, you know, and their door is right there on the west side to
Right.
put the ice cream scoops, you know. I think they should be able to do that. But yet that wouldn't meet our code.
Right.
All right, everybody kind of comfortable with that? And again, you'll have some time to think about this because we're going to put all these up for public hearings anyways. So the second part, and this is more of a legal thing, if you can go to page 20. And this has been in violation for a long time. So under, we have something called political signs right here. And the courts have ruled that signs are somewhat the First Amendment. So if you allow a sign that says St. Francis football, you know, to be on forever, why are you limiting a sign that says vote for so-and-so? Different restrictions. So I'm not an attorney and I didn't want to pay an attorney. So I ended up getting the Verona ordinance because they just spent over 120,000 on recodification. And I'm not afraid to steal. So I looked up in their sign ordinance and what they did, which is really smart, they just call them yard signs. So they're all thrown in the same bucket. And you can read what this says. And the only thing is what they change for political signs is during an election, you can increase from 3 to 5. So you can add, basically have 2 more signs to it. And again, you look at everything else is pretty straightforward on this. So since we're already talking about this, I thought we might as well fix that problem, even though we haven't really, you know, that hasn't been brought up. We did have a complaint on a political sign last fall, but that was because it was too big and the owners were very creative. They just cut it into 3 pieces and posted it either. Yeah, exactly. I had to say, I thought that was extremely creative. I was impressed. I was definitely impressed with creative. So what I'm looking at this we would just do yard signs and this would cover. Coming here, I saw 6 different yard signs. You know, you have
No more May.
no more May. you had the bicycling, you had, someone was putting solar panels on, so you had that, you have
Library.
kinder music. Well, I didn't see that, but here, and then
The
there's,
library's here.
yeah, the library books, and then some, one sign for one of the governor candidates. So they're out there, and quite frankly, a lot of them would have been in violation of this in the sense of the place back is supposed to be 4 feet off the right of way. Almost everybody has it near the curb, but
So,
Well, they didn't ask me on my lawn, but.
yeah, well, your one sign was real good. It was way up at the top.
Oh, there's the library sign.
Oh,
It's
is
on
there
my
now?
lawn, but somebody just did it.
Yeah.
I don't care,
so,
Yeah,
so the only question I've got
okay, go ahead.
is you're putting a maximum for like, for political signs.
No, there is, okay, go ahead.
You're putting a maximum of 5 political signs.
Yeah, that's what they did.
Yeah, and right now, currently, we don't have a maximum number of signs you can put a political.
No, but I think there's a, let me read that. I don't have
It's
it.
it's a time frame, but it's not a number. of
No, you
signs.
can't.
I read through it, I didn't see anything.
Okay.
So technically, you could put 100 signs at one candidate up in your yard.
Under this one, I guess.
So you've got, this, like this political, you've got governor, lieutenant governor, you've got state assembly, you've got state senate,
So what would you be comfortable? I don't really care. I'm just copying what Verona did. I did the easy way.
I'm fine with everything except for having 5 political.
Okay, what would you want?
Nothing.
You'd be all right if someone had 100 of them?
No one's gonna put 100 signs. No one has put 100 signs in their property, but I don't think we should restrict it.
All right.
but.
But we are restricting it by the number of days, and I think we need to keep that. I'm really good with that.
So
Yeah.
would you keep the limit during non-election times, like outside the 30-day period?
That makes sense. Yeah, that makes.
Well, the other one is 60 days. Oh, I see. But,
Election 60 days.
30 days before.
30 days.
right. But if you look at E for the non-election ones, it's 60 days.
Right.
Not, yeah, okay. So I don't care. You want to just eliminate that?
I would be
Just put a
comfortable.
period after or federal election? So you get rid of a maximum of 5 yard sign? All right.
Just do a period there, then you're restricting 3 based on previous.
Oh, yeah, you are.
First part of C says maximum of 3.
Right.
The second sentence. How would you use that?
Yeah, but but the 3 is for everybody's, all signs.
Can't we just make it a maximum of 20? And that way we're covering all the bases, because you're not going to have 20 election officials at one time, I don't believe. I
You
mean,
will not.
so if we just max it at 20, that way we can still keep the language that's in Verona's. We just upped it to 20. And that's what it's.
So it would say maximum of 20 yard signs may be displayed currently. However, during the period 30 days before and 30 days after a local, county, state, or federal election period.
No. Keep the 3 on the first line.
The very end. would say-
We're going to change the 5 to 20. And that way it covers his concern
Yeah,
and it does limit people from putting 100 signs in their yard.
or even 15. I'd be comfortable with 15.
Okay.
Okay,
Put a 1 in front of the 5. and we're-
okay. I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. Because you're right, it's only a 60-day period we're talking about, yeah.
And
Right.
I mean, why is it 30 days after?
And they have to be. up
Prove
for
you're
3
right, I
days.
don't know.
Wisconsin statutes, I think it's 3 days after the election, they gotta be off. Or property. Yeah, I read that there was a whole.
Private? Do they have to be off of private
They
property?
used to go around and they'd pick them up the night of the election. And then
Well,
drive around.
okay,
and collect
on
them.
public land, they shouldn't be on at
Right.
all, according to this.
Right.
Right.
And I can understand that, but if I have, in my yard, I don't know why I have to remove it in 3 days.
Wisconsin statute does allow you to have yard signs on public property if. the
Yes,
municipality-
right, I agree with that, and that's what you're talking about being removed.
Exactly.
Yeah, I can see that, but I mean, you can drive and see political signs still up.
Yeah.
Oh, speaking of, you want me to pick up that sign?
Is it outside the house?
So-
You wanna-
For this,
Okay.
we're giving people that The way it's written, whatever that 15 limit is,
Unless you want.
it's going for 30 days past the election. Shorten that or does it matter?
And,
It doesn't matter to me. I don't think anybody's gonna do it. I don't know if there was some legal thing that they picked the 30 days. I don't know the history behind the Verona one. I just copied it word for word.
I just looked up Eau Claire because I knew there was something there and you're supposed to pick up election signs 10 days after the election date, just as like another data point. So
Well, you wanna make it 10 days? Everybody, what do you?
yeah, I'm fine with that.
All right. So we'll up the one to 15 and reduce the other one to 10.
Just the 10 after.
Right, yeah, I
not the
understood.
30 before.
Right, gotcha. Yeah. All right. Anything else? Otherwise, everybody comfortable with that?
well, is the 30 days before enough? I mean, I see political signs up now, right? I don't think there's an
Primaries
election
in
within,
August.
yeah, so not 30 days.
Yeah, I see the one. Have you seen?
There's a
the-
couple.
I haven't seen more than, yeah, I've seen a couple, I guess, but, so I mean, yeah, it's not all over the place, but I mean.
Yeah, well, what do you guys
Well, the
think?
way this is written, you could still have political signs up more than 30 days, you just can't have more than 3. The 30 days before and the 10 days after, it's just opening up the limit from the normal 3. So
Right.
Well, that's true.
It's not.
Yeah, because
If you really
the
wanna
other,
have-
but the duration does say 60 days. Look
For a
down
single sign.
for all signs.
Right.
So see, we're trying not to make it different for one than the other, and I think that's where the courts came in. If you want no May, like no mow May, and you allow that to be 30 days, why can't I have my political sign 30 days? You're limiting the free speech. That was kind of.
I've seen signs for the Black Earth Creek out there for years.
I know, you guys, look, I'm gonna be honest with you, I am not looking to send our people on these wild things.
I know.
I'm just saying we've got this, and since I know for a fact the political part was a problem, I'm just trying to fix it. You know, this is, otherwise, like I say, I'm open for whatever you guys want, and I'm not looking to all of a sudden start sending the sign police around. But the difference is if someone complains, we at least have something.
To point to.
Yeah.
Right.
So, and then Judy.
So the duration of display, so part E, that second sentence where it says a single display period shall not exceed 30 consecutive days.
Correct.
Maybe we should make that at least 40. If we're basically saying you can put out a bunch of election signs 30 days before and 10 days after.
Oh, I see what you're
But
saying.
then we're saying you can only limit the next, part E says,
Yeah.
well, you can only have one sign out there for 30 days.
Yep,
We
gotcha.
should make that.
Yep, that makes sense.
They pull the sign, walk in the house and then put it back out.
Well, on that note, that's a good point. Is there any reason for it to be them both not to be 60 days? Because as I read it, then someone could have it out every other day. Yeah,
Sure.
just make it
Okay.
simple.
Well, we just get rid of that. A yard sign may be displayed for a maximum of 60 days per
No
calendar.
matter
Second
what, it's
sentence.
no more way or.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
like that.
Yes.
All right. All right, anything else on this? We'll get another shot. We'll clean it up and then we'll figure out how we're gonna do this. Seth,
While we're talking about the sign ordinance, can I ask a question that's not related to these 2 points?
you
Or no?
sure can.
All right. This came up on something last month. I think trustee Palmakowski speaking in public comment said something about the sign proposed for the business that we were talking about. He said, well, that's not a monument sign.
Yeah,
And I was looking in the way it's written, and they talk about these monument signs, the bottom of it has to be less than a foot from the pedestal. And we have a lot of signs that look like they're probably monument signs that don't meet that. And then they might be considered a pylon sign, which we technically ban. But I noticed we have a lot of signs that kind of look like a monument sign because they have the brick and stuff, but they have more than a 1 foot gap and they're supported on two sides. And so it's like, I thought maybe we
I'd
could
have,
talk about.
what business are you talking about? So I
I
can
was
take-
looking at street, like, Esser Place, I believe was one of them. Yeah.
I think you're right.
And then Walgreens is solid all the way. on the bottom.
Right, well, the only thing,
Your
Esser's
banks,
green.
Nota Banks, maybe?
Yeah, your bank is taller than a foot.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. The bottom of the sign, like I said, they're designed to kind of look like.
Right, but the only thing we gotta be careful, and this is kind of that's why I didn't go to those other businesses. Some of them are PDs, you know, where they're planned developments,
Okay.
where they have their own set of rules, you know. So we'd have to research that, but I would like, if we have a lot of that, I would like to, if we're allowing them to do it in a PD, why aren't we just doing it across the board?
Yeah.
So let me take a look at that and the monument, then maybe we,
And then, I mean, there are a number of other ones that.
yeah, no,
would be
I,
considered pylon signs that we technically say are not allowed either.
yeah, well, let me take a look at that and just see, but, you know, we gotta just, because down there on 14, they're almost all those lots are PDs, just like what we did, where you basically make their own set of rules. So I can take a look at that, because I agree, when we're gonna do this, let's just get it done with. So if we have to redefine what that is, or come up with a new class or whatever, you know, is fine with me. I didn't look at it that close. I knew he was correct because a monument has to have a base. You can't go through it. There has to be a base all the way from end to end.
Right.
And they
The way it's written is it
they
has
were
to have a
basically a
pedestal.
post one.
Right, but then there can be up to a 1 foot gap between the bottom of the sign and the pedestal, so you can still.
Yeah, no, but yeah. So let me just take a look at that in those drawings and try to figure something out.
I agree. Also cleaning this up, let's clean it up. at the
All
same
right,
time.
good enough. Anything else? All righty, very good. I think I have some guidance now. All right, we'll go to New Village Hall Police Station. This is just to fill you in and tell you what our assignment will be related to this. Our appraisal came in for that lot and it came in over for what our offer was, so that is good. The May meeting, we will be discussing how we're going to pay for it. So I am expecting and hoping that after the May meeting, that lot will be ours. So then we have to start looking at what we want, how we want to zone it. Because right now it has no zoning on it. So think about all the possible uses that we could be using that for, you know, in the sense of a building, an expanded parking lot, restrooms, you know, we'll have public restrooms. Think about what we could have there as a trailhead, as a meeting place, having special events there, you know, supporting maybe special events that happen in Xander. So we get the zoning right. All right. So think about that. And then we'll start paging through our incredibly long zoning code and see what we can. The nice thing is we don't have to do any changing. It's so blank canvas.
You kind of help us with that though too.
Yeah, but I want to give her, if we could give her what we want the uses for, then she would, yes, she would be able to figure out what we should zone it. But I want to make sure we 360 look, not just at that. The other thing would be looking at where we think, again, we don't have a plan or anything, but do we want the building to be on the front of the lot, to the back of the lot, to the left side, the right side, smack dab in the middle? I know some of it will be designed, but what would be, you know, the options that we would be thinking and why we would be thinking that way? So those are kind of the tasks that we will be looking at once we go through, if we make it where we actually own the lot at our next meeting. So think about at the June meeting with some ideas, because we'll be back on what we could use that for.
Village is correct.
Yeah. Yep.
So is that already been decided and done?
Well, it's decided that that's our first preference. It was decided that we put in an offer and the appraisal came back above what we offered. So unless we want to give up $10,000 and change our decision, yeah, that, once we get the paid, yeah.
Because I mean, when we went through the process of looking at rezoning it to the senior living and all that, which fit into our comprehensive plan, then was mentioned that that's one of the few lots that's available to bring businesses into this town. You in particular said that it'd be great, you envision PI building a corporate office there or something along that lines. Now you're going to take it off the tax base and
Well, that's
Build.
not totally correct. I agreed with you that I didn't believe that was a good place for housing. I always have thought that that would be a good place for a municipal building or a business. But if you look at the climate, no one wants to put commercial or retail in any spot. We've talked to PI, it's not big enough for PI for what they're looking for. The other thing that made it very interesting is there was someone who was interested in this site to put housing and senior housing, which to me is a far better location than down there. So while you are correct that that would go off the tax rolls, this would come on. And this is a far more bigger tax generator than the empty lot is right now. So there would be a plus for the village on that.
okay. No, I'm
So
asking,
that's-
because it didn't
yeah.
make sense to me why we would take that off the tax roll and like this is being sold
Yes,
and potentially made into a multi-million-dollar structure. That can make sense.
that is the thought. That is the plan. And like I say, as soon as someone saw we put the offer in, we had an offer on this building. But like I say, there's got to be 3 other people that agree with paying the money. But it's that time. But I want to get us up and running. So when that happens, because it's, even though we're talking about 2025, when you work backwards, we don't have that much time. We got to get things moving and all the committees are assigned to tasks for that. Any other questions? All righty. We'll go to our last one. That's discussion regarding the review of ordinance 2111 and harboring or keep ducks and or goats. So just to refresh, we've already done 2111. We've already talked about the chickens and the ducks. So we have something at least proposed on that. So we had talked about goats the last time and people asked if they'd like to see some ordinances. So in your packet, San Diego has the most detailed packet. It's kind of in backwards order, but it goes through the process that has the most restrictive. Seattle basically has up to 3 miniature. All of them talk about only miniature goats, and almost all of them have 2 to 3 they approve. The males have to be dehorned and neutered. And I guess you can read the rest on the other ones are fairly short. You know, Portland is very simple. It talks about up to 3 miniatures. It has square footage, and it talks about, you know, you got to get rid of the offspring after 12 weeks and blah blah blah.
San Diego says pretty much the same thing, but they're 2 goats.
Right. Yeah. And I believe on this, we should probably have, I mean, we wouldn't put it under 2111, it would stand alone. Only because that is labeled chickens and fowl, and goats don't fall under either of those. So there you have it, folks.
Um, all of these ordinances are written on West Coast. We live in the Midwest, where there's much more land available. Goats don't belong in town.
All right, just so you know, the only reason I did that, those were the ones that popped up right away. I took the
Yeah.
easy way. I'm sure there's other ordinances.
Right, but
in
I'm,
the Midwest, in the East, so.
but I'm
I
just,
wanna use that.
okay, but I'm just saying, I mean,
Okay,
I
fine
just,
with
I
that.
don't believe in goats in town. That's
I
why
just
you live
wanted
out
to be
town.
sure we're not- because it's- All right, Cameron, what do you thought?
I feel the same way. I don't know. We already left.
I don't really feel strongly either way. I mean, based on these other ordinances, it looks like at least a couple of them are based on, you know, you can only have them if you have a certain size property, which is one thing that we've talked about in previous conversations that some people don't like, saying if you're on a small property versus a big property, but I understand why you would have to have the larger square footage for this, so. I'm generally more in favor of allowing limited things to try. And then if it's a problem, we can tighten the screw. So I'm not totally opposed to miniature goats or something, but it'd be probably with some restrictions and people would have to have the understanding that it's, you know, it's a trial. But I don't know if it's maybe a little harder to do than like a trial of an ATV ordinance, but don't bring that. But it's just, that's an example of one. It's like, all right, let's start somewhere, see how it goes. I'm like willing to let people try. But I don't know. Here's the thing, I'm kind of with you. I'm very neutral on this, so I go with what.
And actually, most of the ordinance say the male has to be neutered, so then you
Right.
can't breed them anyway.
Well, they do artificial breeding. That's why they have that thing about having the young one. Because that's what I think people do. They breed them and sell them like dog, like you do for dogs. That's what I'm guessing, because it says where you can keep them for 12 weeks and you gotta get rid of them. So I'm thinking maybe that's one of the incentives is for breeding. And I'm with you, they must do it artificially.
Yeah.
And I think the males must get very aggressive.
They
And that's
do.
That's why you know, castrate them and take their horns off. It just seems like a lot of hassle for one or two people at best.
And no one would police,
Yeah,
really.
yeah, no, I agree with you there. I agree. So I'm not gonna put anything on the public hearing on this. We're not gonna write anything out there. I guess if someone has real strong.
So moved.
I'll second.
All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. All right,